Terry Reid, the legendary Superlungs singer, has died aged 75. Terry Reid, the legendary musician known for his remarkable vocal prowess, has sadly passed away at the age of 75. Often referred to as Superlungs due to his electrifying singing abilities, Reid is also famously recognized as the artist who turned down offers to join both Led Zeppelin and Deep Purple. Recently, he had to postpone an upcoming tour as he was undergoing treatment for cancer, a testament to the challenges he faced in his later years. Reid's journey in music began at a remarkably young age. At just 16, he gained recognition as the lead singer of the soul band Peter Jay The Jaywalkers, where he had the opportunity to support the Rolling Stones during their UK tour in 1966. This early exposure to the music scene set the stage for his future endeavors. After stepping into a solo career, Reid was managed by the notable Mickie Most, who helped him release his debut album, Bang Bang, You're Terry Reid, in 1968. Reflecting on his early work in an interview with Uncut in August 2004, Reid expressed some regret about the limitations imposed by Most. He noted, "Listening to the early stuff again, I have to say that Mickie Most's conservatism held me back on those albums. He was going through an identity crisis. He made these great records with the Animals and Donovan, but their music started to evolve, and he didn't move with it. I wanted to try new stuff, but he wouldn't go to the next page. Then I got friendly with Jimmy Page." Reid recounted a pivotal moment when Jimmy Page invited him to be the lead singer for Led Zeppelin. However, Reid had just committed to supporting the Rolling Stones on their first U.S. tour in 3 years. He humorously recalled, "I said I'd join if they paid me what I lose, and told Jimmy he'd have to tell Keith Richards, but you're on your own on that one. I told him I'll be hiding under the table, so it never happened." 1. In 1970, Reid performed at the Isle of Wight Festival, and the following year, he opened the inaugural Glastonbury Fair. His band at that time featured drummer Alan White and pedal steel guitarist David Lindley, who would later become a significant collaborator on Reid's albums River and Seed of Memory. That same year, Reid made the move to Los Angeles, where he was approached by Ritchie Blackmore to join Deep Purple, an offer he ultimately declined. In 1973, he signed with Atlantic Records and released River, which he described as his free-roaming masterpiece. He shared, "But when I handed in River, they said I've made a jazz album, and they wanted a rock and roll record. So they paid me $20,000 to go away, and didn't get behind it. But I love that record because it was the first time I got to do what I wanted to do." Following this, he released Seed of Memory in 1976, produced by Graham Nash, and Rogue Waves in 1978. After a brief hiatus from his solo career to focus on session work, Reid returned in 1991 with The Driver, produced by Trevor Horn. Throughout his career, Reid continued to collaborate and tour, with his songs being covered by a variety of artists, including Crosby, Stills, Nash, Marianne Faithfull, Keep Trick, The Hollies, and The Raconteurs. His music has also been featured in numerous film soundtracks, showcasing his lasting impact on the industry. In a reflective moment during an interview for Uncut's December 2014 issue, Reid discussed the reissue of River, stating, "I still play songs from it, and every now and then I have to pop it on. It's interesting. A lot of records you loved back in the day either stand the test of time or sound dated. But with River, I was coming from somewhere else, and I humbly think the record still stands up as something different. That's what was always most important to me. I always wanted to fly my own kite, you know?" For those interested in exploring more about Terry Reid's life and music, you can read our most recent interview with him here on cut.co.uk features/interviews. Terry Reid, Jimmy, New York, Miles 617. Terry Reid, artist's artist who nearly became Led Zeppelin's singer, dead at 75. Terry Reid, a revered figure in the music world and often referred to as the artist's artist, has passed away at the age of 75. His remarkable talent earned him admiration from iconic musicians such as Mick Jagger and Aretha Franklin, and he was on the verge of becoming the lead vocalist for the legendary band Led Zeppelin. The news of his death was confirmed by a representative, although the specific cause was not disclosed. It is known that Reid had been facing health challenges, including a battle with cancer. A recent GoFundMe campaign highlighted his struggles, mentioning that he had been frequently hospitalized and undergoing treatment, which ultimately led to the cancellation of a planned 6-week tour this fall. Reid was affectionately nicknamed Superlungs due to his extraordinary vocal abilities, which allowed him to reach powerful and soulful heights. This nickname also pays homage to his famous cover of Donovan's song, Superlungs My Supergirl. Throughout his career, spanning from 1968 to 1978, Reid released 5 albums. Despite not achieving mainstream chart success, he received critical acclaim and respect from his fellow musicians. In the late 1960s, Reid had the honor of opening for legendary bands like the Rolling Stones and Cream. Aretha Franklin once famously remarked, "There are only 3 things happening in England: the Rolling Stones, the Beatles, and Terry Reid." This statement underscores the high regard in which he was held during that vibrant musical era. Robert Plant, the lead singer of Led Zeppelin, paid tribute to Reid on Instagram, expressing how Reid's enthusiasm and support were invaluable. He reminisced about their youthful days, crashing each other's performances and passionately performing Season of the Witch. Plant described Reid as possessing immense charisma and a voice that captured the essence of a carefree time. He reflected on Reid's album River, stating that it brought him to tears, honoring their deep connection. Released in 1973, River is often considered the crown jewel of Reid's discography, blending progressive folk with influences from R&B, funk, pop, and samba. Although it struggled to gain popularity upon its initial release, it has since become a cult classic, receiving a well-deserved reissue in 2016. Reid himself noted, "I was just doing my thing, mixing blues and rock and other influences." He expressed his love for diverse music styles, from Brazilian samba to Bulgarian choirs, and lamented that his label, Atlantic Records, did not fully support his vision. However, he is now pleased to hear that River has finally found its audience. Reid's songwriting prowess was also evident in his original compositions, particularly Without Expression, which he penned at the tender age of 14. This song has been covered by numerous artists, including the Hollies, Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young, REO Speedwagon, and John Mellencamp, who turned it into a minor hit in the late 1990s. Born in Cambridgeshire, England, Reid began his musical journey as a teenager, playing guitar and writing songs. His big break came in 1965, when his band, the Red Beats, opened for Peter Jay and The Jaywalkers. Impressed by Reid's talent, Jay invited him to join his band, leading to performances across London and tours with renowned acts like the Stones, Ike and Tina Turner, and the Yardbirds. By 1967, Reid was ready to embark on a solo career, encouraged by his friend Jimi Hendrix and working with producer Mickie Most. At just 18 years old, Reid released his debut album, Bang Bang You're Terry Reid, in 1968. That same year, Jimmy Page of the Yardbirds approached him about fronting his new band, which would become Led Zeppelin. Although Reid considered the offer, he ultimately declined, suggesting that Page check out Robert Plant and John Bonham from another group, Band of Joy. Reid often downplayed this pivotal moment in his career, noting that he was frequently approached to join other bands, including an offer from Ritchie Blackmore to lead Deep Purple. He was determined to carve his own path, stating, "I was intent on doing my own thing." After releasing Bang Bang and his self-titled album in 1969, Reid had a falling out with Most, which led to a lengthy legal battle before he could record River. He later released 2 more albums, Seed of Memory in 1976, and Rogue Waves in 1978. Before stepping back from his solo career, he relocated to California and began working as a session musician for artists like Don Henley, Bonnie Raitt, and Jackson Browne. In 1991, Reid collaborated with Trevor Horn on a comeback album titled The Driver, which featured a cover of the Spencer Davis Group's Gimme Some Lovin'. Unfortunately, this album did not receive the attention it deserved, and Reid himself later described it as unlistenable. Although Reid did not release any further studio albums, he continued to perform live and tour regularly. As interest in his back catalog grew, he was invited to provide vocals for artists such as DJ Shadow and Alabama 3. New interpretations of his songs emerged, including a cover of Rich Kid Blues by Jack White's band, The Raconteurs, and a version of To Be Treated Right by Chris Cornell, featured on his posthumous collection, No One Sings Like You Anymore, Volume 1. In a fascinating revelation, Reid shared that Dr. Dre was such a fan of Seed of Memory that he invited Reid into the studio to rework the material with his rappers. Reid described this experience as fascinating. Although the sessions have yet to be released, Reid once stated, "I've never looked at making music as chasing fame and fortune. I'm part of a society of musicians, and I love that I can go out there and sing. It's all I've ever wanted to do." This sentiment encapsulates the essence of his artistic journey, one driven by passion rather than the pursuit of commercial success. Terry Reid, the Superlungs, legendary British musician, dies at 75. Few voices in rock history have soared quite like Terry Reid's, and yet his story remains a wild ride of near misses, stunning talent, and simmering undercurrents of both acclaim and what-ifs. Terry Reid, legendary British musician, admired by icons like the Rolling Stones and Jimmy Page, has died at 75, his UK representative has confirmed. Reid had been battling cancer in recent months, but true to form, faced it with remarkable resilience. And this is where his legend truly becomes fascinating. Despite never landing a single hit on the UK charts, Reid's albums, especially the 1973 classic River, are consistently praised by critics. Fans and fellow artists held Reid in such high regard that both Led Zeppelin and Deep Purple wanted him as their frontman. That's right, he turned down not one, but 2 invitations to front bands that went on to change the face of rock music. Add to that Aretha Franklin's declaration in 1968, "There are only 3 things happening in England: the Rolling Stones, the Beatles, and Terry Reid," and you start to appreciate the rarefied air Reid breathed. So, how did this remarkable journey begin? Raised in Cambridgeshire, Reid showed prodigious musical ability from his early teens. He joined the local band Red Beats, and after opening shows for Peter Jay and the Jaywalkers, he was invited to become a member. Incredibly, by the age of 16, Reid was sharing the stage on tour with none other than the Rolling Stones, as well as giants such as Ike Tina Turner and the Yardbirds. Later, after deciding to strike out as a solo act and forming a friendship with Jimi Hendrix, he once again joined the Rolling Stones on a U.S. tour, an experience that would help cement his place among music's elite. But here's where it gets controversial. When Yardbirds guitarist Jimmy Page sought to form a new group, what would soon become Led Zeppelin, he wanted Terry Reid as his lead singer. Reid declined Page's offer, citing his existing commitments touring with the Stones in the United States. He did, however, suggest Robert Plant and John Bonham, both then in Band of Joy. As a result, Plant and Bonham teamed up with Page to become Led Zeppelin. In a 2024 Guardian interview, Reid reflected, "I was intent on doing my own thing. I contributed half the band. That's enough on my part." Looking at rock history, did Reid make a wise choice or pass up eternal fame? Still, the story doesn't end there. Reid also turned down Ritchie Blackmore's offer to replace Rod Evans as Deep Purple's lead vocalist in 1969, again preferring his own musical path. Deep Purple, of course, would instead bring in Ian Gillan. Reid graciously admitted, "It was very flattering. Ritchie was one hell of a guitar player. Professionally, Reid's trajectory was shaped by a partnership with manager and producer Mickey Most, famed for guiding top UK acts. Under Most's oversight, Reid recorded 2 studio albums, including his debut, Bang Bang You're Terry Reid. One of its highlights, Without Expression, written when he was just 14, would go on to be covered by famous acts such as John Mellencamp, REO Speedwagon, and Crosby, Stills Nash Young. Throughout this period, Reid also opened for artists like Cream, Fleetwood Mac, and Jethro Tull. Yet, despite his impressive resume, his records didn't achieve significant commercial success, and creative differences eventually led Reid to sever ties with Most. Due to contractual disputes, Reid's career entered a period of limbo. But he came roaring back with his acclaimed 1973 album, River, later releasing 2 more records in the decade before making California his new home base. By the 1980s, Reid had stepped back from the spotlight, channeling his energy into session work for legends like Bonnie Raitt, Don Henley, and Jackson Browne. Reid attempted a full comeback in 1991 with The Driver, produced by Trevor Horn. Unfortunately, the album failed to reignite his solo career, artistically or commercially, though his version of Gimme Some Lovin' found new life on the Days of Thunder film soundtrack. He would later describe The Driver as unlistenable, a candid self-assessment that only adds to the mythos. And this is the part most people miss. As time went on, Reid's earlier work quietly gathered a cult following among music enthusiasts and crate diggers. He attracted the admiration of a new generation. Artists like DJ Shadow and Alabama 3 sought him out for collaborations, while the likes of Jack White's Raconteurs, Marianne Faithfull, and Chris Cornell covered his songs, showcasing his ongoing influence across genres. Reid disclosed to The Guardian that even Dr. Dre, captivated by Seed of Memory, invited him to the studio, resulting in reimagined tracks with Dre's rappers, a fusion that proved once again Reid's talents defied musical boundaries. He remained active as a performer, though ill health led to the cancellation of his most recent tour dates. Supporters launched a crowdfunding campaign to assist with Reid's medical expenses. With a heartfelt message, Terry's spirit remains strong, and he's deeply grateful for the outpouring of care he's already received. Terry Reid is survived by his wife, Annette. Musicians far and wide continue to pay tribute. Joe Bonamassa called him one of the greatest to ever do it, and a beautiful person and soul. But here's a question for you. Was Terry Reid's refusal to join Led Zeppelin and Deep Purple a bold commitment to artistic independence, or one of rock's greatest missed opportunities? Do you see him as the ultimate cult hero, or a portrait of what might have been, if only a few choices had been different? Join the conversation below. After all, legends are kept alive not just by their achievements, but by the stories and debates that follow them.